Hey YouTube, how you doing? Today I'm running errands. I'm out here on this cloudy, overcast day. But anyway, just want to say, hey, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day. But I'm driving, and while I'm driving, I just had a thought. You know, I was thinking about man, the male. You know, I believe, and it's written in the Bible, that God, the sovereign God, one sovereign God, created man in his image and in his likeness. So from God's viewpoint, man is important. Not only is he important, he's extremely important. Now what, man, he wired us differently than he wired women that he created out of man's ribs. But he made man a leader. He made man a warrior. He made man a craftsman. That's why men have upper body strength. We can lift, we can pull, we can push, and we can do it with super amount of strength because we are built that way. Men are teachers, men are instructors, men are leaders of his family. And it's unfortunate that many men in today's time and in today's world probably either forgotten who they are or never knew who they are. But God created us to be leaders. He even created us the ability to decree things in our family. We could decree things in our family, and over time, that seed that we planted germinates and it reaches maturity and it manifests itself. But man, it has a power, is powerful in his words. There are things, if a man say, God backs up. He ordains it to be that way. So, car just cut me off, but it's okay. But he ordained our words to be powerful. And so we have to be careful of what we say. If we say we're going to do something, let's do it. Let's do it to a point where we become dependable. People can rely on us. People can depend on us. I remember one of my daughters when she was much smaller, she says, Daddy, one thing I like about you, when you say you're going to do something, you do it. And I thought that was a tremendous compliment. I thought about that. You know, my dad was kind of lived on the same principle. You know, he would say he gonna do things, and I've picked it up that same way. And then later on, I would regret that I said I was gonna do something, but my word's out there. So since my word is out there, I have to live by my word. So even though I regret that I said that I was gonna do a certain thing, I have to follow through because I put my word out there. Now, one thing I've got a habit of doing, I've learned to get a habit of doing, when people ask me, can you do such and such, or can you help me do such and such, or whatever, then I would say, I can't make that commitment yet, but I'll get back with you. That way, you don't put yourself in a position where later you go back on your word. When time comes for the time that the person wants you to do whatever that is, you know what your schedule look like, you know what your circumstances look like, and so you're able to follow through with it if you make that commitment. And so men has to get to the point where we have to be true to our word. And it's so unfortunate that today we live in a time where people just don't follow through what they say they're going to do. That's called integrity. You have to become dependable. You have to become reliable to the point where you leave a legacy that your word is solid. Your word is powerful. And so that's what I encourage men to do. Be true to your word. Stand up on your word. You know, my dad, one example I have, a powerful example I have, and, you know, my dad back in the day, you know, I wanted a car. And so my dad was the kind of guy, he said, I ain't gonna buy you no car. He said, but if you make your money and you save your money, he said, I'll look at what you got, what you saved, and I'll match it. And then together with the money you save and the money I match, you can go buy a car. Well, back then, I had a paper route. I had two paper routes. One was huge. One of my paper routes had 450 customers. I think the other paper route had 250 customers. So I was able to save money for my car. And when it was time, well, at least when I thought it was time for me to buy a car, I said, okay, Dad, I'm ready. He said, you ready? I said, yeah. I said, you said that you would match whatever I saved, so I'm ready. Now, I had been saving for a long time. So he said, okay. He said, how much you got? And so I showed him what I had. I think I had almost $2,000. And then this is back in the 70s. So $2,000 back in the 70s will get you a pretty newish car. So when my dad saw how much I saved, I would imagine he might have had some regrets because his word was out there, but his word was out there and he lived by his word, which is something I've learned to do. I haven't always did that as a young man, but over time, I learned to do that. I live by my word. So because of my dad's word, I was able to buy a car that was no more than about 2 years old. I think I bought a 1973 Cougar XR7 with a 351 Cleveland engine. I'm the only one in my high school, I believe at the time, that had a car that's pretty brand new. And so that's the power of a man's word. We got to live a life where when we say we're going to do something, we do it because our word is powerful. And so that's the definition or the characteristic that God intended for a man to have. When he said, let there be, there is. Just like God said, let there be, there was. And so that's the kind of power and that's the kind of duplicate power that God intended for us, man, to have. I just want to drop that thought out there because, you know, I look at our men and I think our men need to recognize who we are in terms of the way God see us and the way God created us. He created us to be leaders. He created us to be warriors. He created us to be protectors. He created us that way. And so we've got to live up to what God created us to be. And so that's my thought for today. So I'd like to remind you to, if you enjoyed this video, like the video, subscribe the video, share the video, and I appreciate it. Hey, you have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.